Okay, we're going to do exercise 612 on page 184. Make sure that you pause the video before you have a go at translating the sentence yourself, and then you can press play for each one to reveal the answer. Make sure that you take your time. Don't whiz through the sentence quickly and then press play and reveal the answer too soon, because you need to make sure that you're looking at the relative pronoun, what case number and gender it is, what word it's referring to. You need to consider the two verbs within each sentence. You need to consider where the relative clause is. If you like, you can bracket off the relative clause in each one, translate the bits around it first. The main thing is take your time. So let's have a look at number one. Before you pause to have a go yourselves, just a few clues. Obviously, quae here is the relative pronoun. The case there, I'm going to tell you, is dative. So think about the fact that it's dative, okay? And I will also tell you that the relative clause is this bit here. You'll notice in every single one of these sentences, the last chunk is in foro est. That's to keep the main clause very straightforward, because the main thing we're focusing on right now is the relative clause. So consider all these things, have a look at the sentence. Quae is dative. Pause it now and have a go. Okay, so your translation of this one then is the boy to whom I gave a gift is in the forum. Okay, now if you put to who, that's fine. It's not actually grammatically correct, but no one says whom anymore. But you need to make sure that you've got the to in there because it's dative. You could also say the boy. It isn't as nice, but it's still it would still be fine. The boy who I gave a gift to is in the forum. Now, we don't like ending phrases with a preposition like this. It sounds a bit mucky, but it's okay because you've still got the to there to show it's dative, and you've recognised that the quae refers back to the boy. Okay, quae is nominative. Sorry, it's not nominative. Is masculine, is singular because puer is masculine and singular, but it's dative because it's part of this clause in which something is being given to him. Okay, have a look at number two. Few clues here. Quae is your relative pronoun. Qui pecuniam habet is your relative clause. Have a go at that. Pause the video and then press play to reveal the answer. Okay, here we go for this one. So our answer to this is the boy who has money is in the forum. Okay, so here quae is nominative, masculine, singular. It refers to the boy, but it's also nominative because within this relative clause here, he's still doing the action. He's the one that has the money. Okay, number three, few clues. Quo is ablative. Consider the fact that it's got an a in front of it. Okay, and the relative clause here is a quo fugio. Okay, have a go at that and pause the video. Okay, here we go. So this one is the boy from whom I flee is in the forum. You know it's got to mean from because it's ablative. If you've put this, it's fine. The boy who I flee, or I am fleeing, is fine as well. So the boy who I flee from is in the forum. Not as neat, but it's fine because you're still showing that it's I flee here. You're still showing that this is ablative from the boy. You know that quo is referring to puer because quo is masculine and it's singular from the puer, but it's ablative because within this clause, I am fleeing from him. Okay. Number four, I'm just going to give you one clue this time. Queos is that weird genitive. Pause the video, have a go. Okay, so this one, the boy. Now it's genitive, so you could say of whom, or you could just say whose. Clamorem, shout, I heard is in the forum. Okay, it literally says the boy of whom the shout I heard is in the forum, but that's a little bit convoluted. So the boy whose shout I heard is in the forum, because remember genitive quite often shows possession, so that shout belongs to him. Yeah, so the next one then, number 5, I'm not going to give you any clues for this one. Pause the video, have a go, and then play to reveal the answer. Okay, here we go, number 5. So, the boy who, I imagine that you've put that, the girl loves is in the forum. Okay, quem here is masculine and it's accusative. It's accusative because within the relative clause, the boy is being loved by the girl. She's the nominative there, not him. Okay, but it needs to be masculine and singular because it's referring to quae, that boy. Okay, so if I had given you the clues, I would have said quem is the accusative pronoun and the relative clause here is this bit. Okay, any questions, let me know. We're going to now move on to 613. Here we go, 613, which is on page 184 still. So the first sentence, I'm not going to give you any help. It's not about boys in the forum anymore, so consider the vocab as well as the grammar. Have a look at it, think about what case number and gender that relative pronoun is, think about where the relative clause is, where the extra information is being told, and translate and pause the video. Okay, here we go. Here's your answer to number 1. So, do not start with ankyllam because ankyllam is accusative. Look at the verb, invenimos. We found the ankyllam, the slave girl, quae, who, neca verat, had killed the king. That's your number 1. Okay, have a look at number 2, pause the video, watch out for that ne on the end of vidistis. Ne just makes it a question. So in fact, that should be a question mark right there. Okay, have a go at that and then press play. Okay, so number 2, did you see, there's the question, milites, the soldiers, quae here is masculine, nominative, plural, so who, advenerunt, arrived, ad urbem, to the city, who arrived in the city, heri, yesterday. Okay, number 3, pause the video and then play for the answer. Okay, number 3, the ship in qua. Now, qua is ablative, feminine, because it refers to navis. Navis, the ship, is a feminine word. Okay, so the ship in which navigabimus, we will, future tense, sail to Rome, is big and fast. Okay, number 4, have a go, pause the video. Amasne, again, is a question here. So, do you love eum quae? Do you love him? We've seen eum before as the accusative of is, the word for he. So, do you love him? Qui in horto nunc est. Qui who is now in the garden. Now, let's just look at that sentence because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Do you love him who is now in the garden? So, you can put in a noun here. Do you love the man who is now in the garden? That will be fine. Okay, number 5, have a go, pause the video. Okay, here we go in number 5. The temples, remember, every day, neuter plurals end in A. Now, quae looks very feminine, but it could also be a neuter plural pronoun, which makes sense here when you've got templar. So the temples which the Romans, edificant is present tense, so are nunc, now building. Erunt is the future tense of the verb to be, so will be huge. Okay. Number 6, have a go, pause the video. Okay, here we go in number 6. The man. Now you've got pecuniam here, which is accusative money. So we can't say the man money which, that doesn't make sense. So let's see if there's another verb that we can use. Now, we've mentioned before how the relative clause is like a separate thing from everything else. Okay, so here is your relative clause. Okay, so we want to keep that all together. So we don't want to say the man had found the money which in the street. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. Plus quam in via invenerat is like its own little section of the sentence that doesn't want to be jumbled up with anything else. Okay, so instead we go to the verb at the very end, tradidit. So the man handed over the money, filiabus, remember it's got an A in it, it's feminine, to his daughters, quam in via invenerat, which he had found in the streets. Now there's an issue with this because that makes it sound like he found his daughters in the streets, but quam here is singular, so it must be referring to pecunia because filiabus is plural. And also he didn't find his daughters in the streets. So instead of saying the man handed over the money to his daughters which he had found in the street, we kind of need to switch things around here. The man handed over the money which he had found in the street to his daughters, okay? And it doesn't matter if you've written out once and then you have to readjust it to make it sound better. That's fine. That's kind of the beauty of working out case, number, and gender of each pronoun, of each noun, of each adjective, etc. Okay, number 7, have a go, pause the video. Right, here we go. So, question, do you fear the crowd? Okay, queos, genitive. So, of which, or you could say, whose, clamores, shouts, possumus, we can hear. If you wrote, do you fear the crowd of which the shouts we can hear, that's fine, it just sounds a bit strange. Number 8, have a go and pause the video. Okay, the sailors. Okay, now we've got another issue here because we've got capita, which is an accusative neuter plural noun. So we don't want to say the sailors' heads because that doesn't make any sense. The sailors are the nominative, the capita is the accusative. So they must be doing something to those heads. But remember, within this, okay, we've got a relative clause. So we don't want to use the necaverunt. We want to find another verb. The verb is at the very end, portant. Okay, so the sailors are carrying capita Romanorum, the heads of the Romans, quos necaverunt, who they killed ad regem, to the king. Okay, quos here is masculine, accusative, plural, because it's referring back to the Romans. Now, I know that the Romanorum there is genitive because it's the heads of the Romans. But remember, the case of the Q word depends on what's going on within that relative clause. And because the sailors killed those Romans, who they killed, quos becomes accusative instead of genitive. Okay, number 9, pause the video. Okay, here we go. So, the soldiers, quibus. Quibus could be ablative plural, it could be dative plural. So, we need to look at the rest of the sentence to figure out what's going on. We've got dux pecuniam dedit. We've got this verb dedit. He gave. So, it's probably going to be a dative, meaning to, isn't it? If we've got the verb give, it's likely that it's give something to someone. So, the soldiers, to whom the leader, pecuniam dedit, gave money, defendant, are defending the walls bravely. Okay. Actually, can anyone spot the mistake that I've made there? Defendant will defend the walls bravely. Am es et. Emos etis ent. Okay. And then the final one, number 10, pause your video, have a go. Okay, the woman, okay, ad portam, she's done something to a gate, so find the verb is at the end, lacrimabat, so was crying to the gate, she's not going to be crying to the gate really, so at the gate, okay, per quam, through which, maritus festina verat, her husband had hurried, missed out du, so was crying for a long time. Okay, so here you've got quam, feminine, singular, to refer to important.